Hi, my name is Lisa Hopper, and this is Worldcare Hot Topics. Worldcare Hot Topics focuses on health, education, community services, and the environment. During the week, the viewers, you, the viewers, have an opportunity to voice your opinions about the things that we're talking about. And the show today, some of the responses that we bring forth, that you bring forth to our show, you'll be able to participate in the next show, whether it be we bring your suggestions or comments to the table. So without further ado, here sitting with me is Laurel Park. She is the Senior Coordinator for the Worldcare organization. And before I get into introducing her, I'm going to give a little bio about Worldcare and kind of give us a little summary. Worldcare is a nonprofit organization that supports children throughout the world and locally with humanitarian relief supplies. And a lot of our focus is on education, health, community services, and the environment. And a lot of things come up during that process of what we do each day. And Laurel Park is here to tell us a little bit about what some of these projects are about and how they affect our community. So Laurel, welcome to Worldcare Hot Topics.
Great, thanks for having me. Well, as you have already said, Lisa, that Worldcare basically provides local and international relief through recycling. And that is our basic premise. Literacy is a huge issue that is worldwide. We've got 6 billion people on this planet, and 80% live in developing countries. So the literacy problem is staggering. And that's not only in developing countries, but in our country alone. So one of the programs we really focus on is our Tools for Schools program. And that's a program where students in need throughout the Tucson community and southern Arizona can have access to school supplies so they can go to school with basic preparations. Their pencils, binders, paper, and a lot of kids don't have the money to get those.
So basically with the Tools for Schools programs here, now I know, we've had the Tools for Schools program since 1996. And a lot of what we've been providing are the school supplies through recycling.
That's correct.
And so now we've gone from 200 kids in 1996 to over 20,000 children in the year 1999. And you've been with the organization for how long?
About a year now.
Okay. And what is your main focus at Worldcare? How is it that you start up the Tools for Schools programs? How do people get involved in this process?
For students that don't have the money to buy the materials, we have to acquire those somehow, and there are any number of ways of doing that. Most of us have in our homes or in our offices. Large corporations have tons of materials that they're not using and probably never will use. Binders, papers, pens, pencils, erasers, crayons, glue, scissors, all those kinds of things. And those can be brought into Worldcare anytime, Monday through Saturday, 10 to 3. And when those materials are brought in, then we assemble those in a packet. And before school starts, we give out 15 to 20,000 kids school packs that they can start the school year with.
That's great. It's got to be a lot of fun to watch the expression on these kids' face when they actually get their supplies.
It is. You can probably all remember what it was like when school started and you were excited about having materials and getting in that first week of school. But if you're a child that doesn't have the money to do that, then you don't have that experience. And many children in this community, a quarter of the kids in the local TUSD district are at poverty level. And they need to have the materials that everyone else has to get started.
Now, I read recently in the newspaper that there's like over 900,000 children that are living at poverty level, within the southern, not necessarily just Arizona, but Arizona, New Mexico. This is a tremendous amount of kids that just simply don't have the basic necessities in our own country. Why do you think this is not being focused on in, at a more political level, or being, we hear all the time the statistics. These are the amount of kids that we don't reach. Do you have an opinion on that as far as why we're not reaching these kids? What's going on here?
Absolutely. As some of you may be watching the news and reading the papers, Arizona ranks dead last in this country in terms of funding for education. So it's no wonder that even though we're in a developing country, it's no wonder that many of the children in this state are struggling.
Well, that's astounding as far as those figures are concerned. And I know that, being involved in the Worldcare organization, media-wise, I think when I'm doing the international relief, when we're trying to get supplies to other areas, whether it's a local collection that we're getting over to Turkey, and individuals want to participate in these types of events, one of the biggest problems that I see is that the local people have no trouble participating in a lot of the international events. However, when it's in their own backyard, it seems to be something that's almost taboo. Do you find that this is a normal environment for Tucson, or do we have the opportunity to change that trend?
I think human behavior often allows us to overlook things that are painful and difficult. And if there's an easy problem to solve, we usually go to that first. Education and literacy is not an easy problem. And so there are a lot of options, and Worldcare is one in terms of helping children to get what they need to learn and to be in school. One of the things that Worldcare Tools for Schools 2000 campaign is doing is we have the Pencil Club, and anyone in the community can participate in that. A single membership in the Pencil Club allows one student in need to have a full year's supply of school supplies. And it sounds very basic, and it is. Without paper and pencil and pens, you can't do your homework, you can't study, you can't do what you need to do. And a single membership can provide a student in need with those supplies for a full year. And that's a great way for people in the community to participate, whether it's corporations or individuals. It's simple to do. It's the Pencil Club.
Well, let's talk about the corporations a little bit. I know that there's a lot of community organizations here that currently participate in providing supplies. And whether it's IBM, Lucent Technologies, Canyon Ranch, TUSD has been supportive in this respect. The University of Arizona is partially coming on board. How does this affect the current situation? Do you think that school supplies, once that issue is taken care of, do you think that this is a prelude to really addressing some of the other educational issues that we need to focus on?
Absolutely. Without the basic foundation, you can't come to class prepared to study and to learn. And in this community, it's actually a very generous community. Tucson is really wonderful about that. And we are grateful for that because the recipients, the students, then receive a lot of that kindness. And without the basic foundation, the kids can't go from there. There are many communities other than Tucson that are also benefiting from the Tucson generosity. So we have to get the materials to the kids. If they don't have it, they can't go to the next step. And there are many children in this community that definitely need them.
Now, it's from my understanding, in last year we were doing some statistics on the amount of kids that actually within local Tucson that literally are on the lunch programs. And the lunch programs, to the viewers, the lunch programs provide food, their lunch subsidy or their food subsidies at either free or low cost. So what we want to be able to do is we actually provide the school supplies to those children. And from my understanding, there's almost 60,000 of those children that are eligible. So do you think that this community has the ability to reach that level of providing the school supplies through this type of process?
I absolutely do. And last year alone, Tools for Schools was able to provide 15,000 children and close to 20,000 throughout the school year with school supplies. The community has the materials. It's a matter of raising the public's awareness about the materials they have at hand that can be recycled. We don't need to fill up those landfills. We need to fill up those backpacks so those kids can get to school and do what they need to do. And we can all do that. There's plenty out there, and it just needs to be diverted to the right place.
That's great. We have, now Worldcare, the name of Worldcare seems to have this universal touch. Sometimes that throws people off as far as, how is it that Worldcare, does it have a Tucson element to it? And as we've spoken, yes, it does have a Tucson element. However, how does Worldcare view itself in, say, the next 5 years? Why does it have this global vision?
Worldcare has a global vision because we are all neighbors. The air we breathe has no boundaries, and we have to participate on a global level. We do work internationally. Most of our work is done in Tucson. 85% of our work is done in Tucson and provides services to the people of Tucson, adults and children alike. But we were in 9 different countries this last year, and they too need supplies. The international disasters with earthquakes and flooding, in the wars in Kosovo, after they've gotten their medical supplies, which we also support them with, clothing, sleeping bags, tents, that kind of thing, when they are finally up and running again on a minimal level, they need school supplies. And we have been doing that as well, and we will continue to. And because of the disruption throughout the entire world, we will never be out of business.
Well, I can vouch for that too. There's another issue that I want to talk to you about, and it's about kids not just necessarily having the school supplies that they need, but I know that Worldcare also supports clothing and hygiene packs. We get involved in promoting women's issues, in providing them safe places to be able to advance in their community, advance personally. What are some of the big issues that you foresee in the next year that will kind of hold back some of the things that the state is going to have to address as far as maybe funding or,
Yeah, the public is getting tired of the legislature's inability to come up with funding for our great needs. Tucson and the surrounding community has a huge dropout rate. And again, of course, we're dead last in terms of funding for public education. So the funding has to come from the community. We can't just count on the legislature to come up with a great bill and provide the funding that is needed right now, today, for children. So other programs like Worldcare are having to take up the slack and provide what is needed efficiently and quickly to students who need it right now. And that includes clothing. If a family from a particular school is in need of clothing or other kinds of things, the school can call us and say, I've got 4 or 5 families here that really, we had a house fire, or they just have very little, they just moved here. Do you have things that can help them? We'll say, bring them on in, and the school can send a letter on their letterhead saying, yes, this is a family of such and such. We can provide clothing for the whole family. If they need housewares, we can do that, or if they need school supplies. And the hygiene packs are something you mentioned earlier, which is also very important. Those are important not only here. The various agencies, the Primavera Foundations, the shelters, are always in need of those kinds of supplies. And each one of us in the community has those little bars of soap, extra toothbrushes, unused, shampoo, and can bring those in anytime. So those are the kinds of things that we can provide throughout the year to anyone that needs them. And if they come through the school or in an agency, it makes it much easier.
So it's kind of like this huge resource
That's
environment. And as far as, you touched a little bit on the issues of the legislature and that the community is tired of constantly hearing about different things that are associated with education, and yet it seems that we are just trying extremely, extremely hard to stay in last place. And because it takes work to be in last place.
Yes, it does.
Just as much work as it takes to be on the top. And so, another issue here is do you think the legislature is actually focusing, you can have a great program, but if it's not addressing the issues that are related to the problems that are being caused, then can we solve those problems? Do you think that Arizona is interested in solving these problems? I know that there's lots of things in the newspaper about the different subjects that have come up. We have the high level of poverty, and children need to have that level of consistency with support. Have teen pregnancy, another big issue. These things are all surrounding the education environment. And do you think that we have the ability as a state and as a community to redirect and really make some major changes with the history that it's had?
I absolutely do think we have that ability. I'm not sure that the legislature can do it alone. I've heard a number of legislators that are very progressive and are working on this, but it is a team effort. And so it will take the community and organizations like Worldcare, although I have to say Worldcare is the best kept secret in this whole state in terms of what it provides people, and it does it efficiently and quickly. I think we can do it, and we are doing it, but it may start from the ground up. We can't wait for the legislature to make their move. It'll take too long.
So, okay, well, let's get on the subject then about, we've talked about school supplies, and people have asked us questions. Okay, is this actually the issue that, if we give these kids the school supplies, are they actually going to stay in school and continue learning? Is that going to be the key? We've also heard, on a personal note, no. I think the essence of Worldcare is to provide the resources that limit children and individuals from wanting to be a part of that environment. And we want to encourage people to stay in that environment. I understand, with collaborative, we're working collaboratively with a lot of different entities in Tucson to make this coalition extremely strong. And I know we have the new mayor in town, Mayor Bob Walkup, who's I think, he's very vision-oriented. I think he has an opportunity here to really make a difference in the foundation of the community. And viewers, again, it's very important that you write into us. Let us know your viewpoints about these specific topics. At the end of the show today, we're going to have one specific topic that we will be talking about at our next show. So the goal here, again, I'm going to get back into, Worldcare provides basically local and international humanitarian relief.
That's correct.
Through recycling. And it's with tools for schools, tools for health, and tools for the earth. And again, you said that through memberships of the Pencil Club, which is being kicked off this year, which I think is a great idea, it gives the community an opportunity to help children in need, not only locally, but on an international level as well. And let's take a little bit of a step back here. And do you have a sense of, I wasn't in this community 10 years ago. How do you view the community 10 years ago to today? And do you really think it's changed? Has it progressed, or has it decreased in its ability to handle some of these problems? Why don't you give me a viewpoint on that?
There have been changes, and there have been improvements, and that's very good.
Okay.
However, they have not come fast, and we need to move faster than they're occurring. We have teen pregnancy programs now that have been available for 10 years, a little bit longer, but we still have a lot of pregnant teens we still have a lot of dropouts. We still have a lot of poverty. And if I had a single answer to deal with all the issues, I'd be, you know, I'd be in the $100,000 bracket here. But because we don't have that, there are a lot of issues, a lot of problems, and even though we are working on them, we're really not working fast enough. And that's why we have to rely on each of us as individuals and organizations and corporations to take some responsibility and provide those things that we have readily available to help improve the situation. And having the basic needs met is where you start.
Do you feel that, you know, everybody knows that when you have a good working organization, a corporate infrastructure that has a good foundation, and you, the individuals and programs that are built upon that foundation normally have a higher level of sustainability. Do you feel that in Arizona we have that corporate foundational structure that has the ability to sustain programs, to create an actual change in how we are addressing these issues, and not to continually, I know this is a mouthful, not to continually only put out money to show people we have all of these negative things? Do you think we have that foundation here in Arizona?
I absolutely do. I think sometimes the large corporations don't know of some of the places like Worldcare, and of course they're learning more and more about these kinds of organizations. And without Worldcare, there will be 20,000 children this next year that will not get school supplies. That's a lot of kids. There's still 60,000 out there that need supplies, but we will get at least 20,000 kids supplies that they need, and we have the ability to do that. We need to get the word out, and we need to be able to provide the products for these kids.
Now we brought some products with us, and I'm going to show you a couple of these. And you brought these to us just to show what kids actually do get at during the beginning of the year. And I got to bend over here.
School packets that most kids take for granted, many children do not have the ability to acquire. We have tablets from paper that's been recycled.
Okay, so these are the recycled packs.
Spiral pads, and many of the print shops will give us their paper, and we have a little press where we actually glue these together and make little tablets for the students.
So this is great for like your math classes and journals and
all kinds of things.
And this is like from scrap. Okay, so this is
all recycled
this is
material.
something that is just hanging around and ready to go to the recycle bin. Binders, I know, are a big thing.
And we need thousands of those every year.
Yeah, we've got a good collection going right now, but we need thousands more. So we're encouraging corporations to get out there and find that stuff in their warehouses. You know, save yourself some space.
That's right.
Now, I know last year we had Pima County for Environmental Quality. I know they participated in the Sheriff's Department. There was quite a few organizations, Pima Community College, Canyon Ranch. A lot of these organizations participated by giving supplies that were made out of recycled material.
That's correct.
But it had a positive message on it. And one of these things, I don't know if you can get a shot of that right there, but it's a ruler, and it has pencils and pens and eraser, highlighters, paper, and these things were given to us to make these packs available to the kids. Lucent Technologies was one of the organizations also that helped in distributing a lot of these things.
Right.
Okay, well that's wonderful.
It's a lot of fun.
You know, it's truly amazing that, I mean, I love Tucson, Arizona. I think it's a wonderful town, and not to mention the absolute beautiful weather that we have all the time. But we have an opportunity here as a community to really help out and collaborate in order to make some true changes here in Arizona. I know Worldcare is about solving problems and not sustaining them. And so we're encouraging through this program that people begin to participate in making some of these things really happen. So to wrap up what we're doing here today, I'm going to encourage all of the viewers out there to bring in your suggestions. The hot topic for next week is going to be focusing on education, and the question is, are our educational tax funds being distributed appropriately in the state of Arizona? We'll have a special guest with us next week to address this issue. We'll also have some of the questions that we can bring up, education dollars and private funding, and how are they being distributed in the state of Arizona? What types of questions and what types of studies have they done in the state of Arizona to help support pushing this effort? And what is it to come for the next couple of years? What can the schools anticipate and what can the kids anticipate? So, the hot topic for next week, again, are educational tax funds being distributed appropriately in the state of Arizona? I want to thank Access Television for your support in allowing us to come on and make this show possible. Thank you. Have a great day.